Well, how are
No one in the audience.
you? They'd raised $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Oh, what the heck was that? Now, listen, I'm not going to pile on onto Joe Biden and his performance in the debate. Instead, I think more people should just look at the debate for what it is. In my opinion, and most of our opinions, Joe Biden just isn't fit for office. And I don't mean to be partisan. That's not a partisan statement. That's a health and well-being statement. Joe Biden multiple times in that debate stumbled, lost his footing. And that's not surprising if you've been watching and covering Joe Biden since 2020. The decline in cognitive health from Joe Biden is staggering. And I'm just unaware why more and more Democrats, more and more liberals don't see this and are not thinking about that. I think sometimes there's a bit of an unwillingness to address that issue. And again, it's not me trying to, undermine the Democrats. It's actually me thinking about this in terms of someone's health and well-being. But I also don't agree with a lot of conservative media in their assessment. And I'm going to show you what I mean right now. Patrick Bet-David and his crew did an assessment of this, and I just found their assessment a bit off, actually completely off.
I don't even know what word to use. This is done. This is embarrassing. And the most important question every voter has to answer is the following.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the likelihood of that China, Russia, and Iran's watching this right now?
100%.
Let me ask you a question. If they could somehow, some way participate to manipulate our election, which one of those two do you think they would prefer winning the election?
Joe Biden. Not even
Joe Biden.
Wow.
Period. Done. That's the only thing. If the only way you vote, if you're trying to make sure the country is safe for you, your wife, your husband, your kids, ask the question, do you believe China, Russia, and Iran hate America? If they do you believe they would prefer to go up against a Trump or a Biden? Based on whatever your answer is, vote accordingly.
So that is a typical take from the Patrick Bet-David crew, but also other conservatives that I've seen online. The idea that the country itself is unsafe with a Democrat in office. The idea that China, Russia, and Iran are looking to somehow attack or undermine national security because there's this, Democrat who clearly doesn't know right from wrong or right from left, it seems, that somehow that's posing a threat to the average American, I find is a common talking point by the right. And it's not altogether wild to think that, because again, the more inflammatory you can make your talking point, the more views, likes, and clicks and shares you get. So the idea that Biden, by his nature, is making America unsafe is a typical kind of like how they're understanding Biden's presidency. And that fundamentally is wrong. And it does does such a great disservice to the discourse that needs to be had. I don't believe China, Iran, and Russia feel like they can attack the United States of America because Joe Biden is in power. First of all, I don't think that it's in any country's best interest to attack the United States of America, given the military might, regardless Democrat or Republican. But it's a way in which that fear-mongering is also evident on the right as it is on the left as well. The left is like, Trump's going to, throw our democracy into the garbage and dumpster fire. But the right is saying that, hey, listen, because Joe Biden's so weak, he can't stand up to China, Russia, and Iran. And that rhetoric is just as dangerous. Listen, the reality is the United States of America has a very well developed military to defend the United States and its citizens. I don't believe that Joe Biden is putting you and your family at greater risk from an attack from China, Russia, and Iran. That's just not happening. The unsexy opinion to all of this is that Joe Biden just is not fit for office, period. And he's just not fit. The Democrats really need to find better candidates that are cognitively healthy. That's the unsexy opinion. Instead, there should be a robust debate on how how similar Biden and Trump policies are on a myriad of policies. People don't want to talk about the immigration border issues that are eerily similar between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And, you don't have to believe me. There's a lot of articles that show that. Instead, there should be a robust debate on where these presidents differ on specific policies that impact Americans. I blame also our news anchors for not highlighting where their policies are similar and then grilling them both on that same fact. So Joe Biden sent, $20 billion to Israel? I don't doubt for a second, he did that after October 7th. I don't doubt for a second that Donald Trump would have done the same thing, probably more, who knows. Is that something that the American people right now, with inflation, cost of living, unemployment, etc., would be okay with? When it comes to Ukraine, Trump danced around this a little bit, saying that he doesn't know what he would do in Ukraine, which is an interesting response. But given the attack from Russia, would Donald Trump provide Ukraine with billions of dollars in funding? And if Trump gets elected in November, will Trump support Ukraine financially, militarily? That remains to be seen, because I would argue that very well could be the case that Trump continues this financial support to Ukraine. And will the Patrick Bet David podcast and other conservative commentators talk about that in particular? Now, this is coming from someone who's very critical of the Democrats and liberal politics in general. But what I'm really concerned about is how our news anchors and media are not highlighting the similarities between the right and left. And also, it took till 2024 for people to really put Joe Biden's cognitive decline on display. That has been going on for years. Many people have been talking about that, and it's now out. So, love to know what you think. Do you also believe that Joe Biden and Trump have very similar policies on things? Or do you think there are fundamentally different policies and ways of thinking on things? Again, I've looked at both of their budgets and their policies. I'd be interested to know what you think on how a Trump presidency would differ when it comes to Israel and Ukraine. As well, I'd love to know if you think that if either president becomes president in 2024, if you as your family will feel more safe, right? So just think about these things and how some of these commentators are framing these things, because it's very important how we're all interacting with this media. Anyways, I'm so glad to be back to doing videos. I will be doing this more regularly. Leave a like, definitely subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section below.